Welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. The family of a cinematographer, Halyna Hutchins, shot and killed by Alec Baldwin on the set of the film Rust, has agreed to settle a lawsuit against the actor and the movie's producers. And producers are aiming to restart the project back up again in January, despite unresolved workplace safety sanctions. We want to talk about this even further with Florida State legislator and legal expert Michael Beltran. Michael, thanks so much for being with us. You know, we have been following this story from the very beginning. I remember the moment when this was all breaking, and really the hot water Alec Baldwin has come under. He did that exclusive interview with George Stephanopoulos, you know, telling him he did not press the trigger of the gun, and now a settlement has been reached. Do you think that's going to be it for the family of Halyna Hutchins, or will they seek more and more action?
Well, I assume that the way the settlement was done, I just, if I had to guess, I would say it was probably a package deal. They were very good lawyers who were representing the producer. There was another very good lawyer representing Baldwin. I assume there's some insurance proceeds that are going to be paid into the fund. And if I were one of those lawyers, I would have gone for a global settlement. So I assume that everyone's part of the settlement. I note that the filming of the programming is going to continue now. There was an announcement about that. And so it looks like a package deal to me. Obviously, there's a confidentiality provision in there. And the reason you see restrained commentary from the parties is because they probably negotiated what they're going to say. And they probably have a provision in there that says, if you say anything more than what you agreed you were going to say, that you're going to have to give all the money back. So I suspect that's the end of the civil cases. I'm fairly confident about that based on the lawyers and parties involved.
Okay, let's put up the statement. This was an Instagram post that Alec Baldwin posted today. He says, "We're pleased to announce today the settlement of the civil case filed on behalf of the family of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. Throughout this difficult process, everyone has maintained the specific desire to do what is best for Halyna's son. We're grateful to everyone who contributed to the resolution of this tragic and painful situation." And so, you know, there's a big kind of gap in this that a lot of people are probably asking themselves, myself included. What about Alec Baldwin's criminal liability implications with that, you know, with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, with New Mexico, you know, state troopers, things like that? Do you think this is all said and done, or do you think Alec Baldwin could still be facing a lot of criminal and legal exposure?
Well, again, if I were his attorney, I would have kind of gone through some of those channels already. I would have figured out what the criminal exposure was, what the appetite was for the prosecutor of taking kind of a risky case, and then what the appetite of the prosecutor was to possibly lose, possibly win, to spend a lot of resources. There was an appropriation for a few $100,000 that was appropriated by the government in order to fund the prosecution, but that's taxpayer money that could be used for other things. And so I would have kind of scouted out that type of situation, and I probably wouldn't have settled the civil case if I thought there was big criminal liability. That said, the victims have a role in the criminal process, but not the same role that they have as parties in the civil process. And so it's up to the prosecutor, and at the end of the day, that's usually an elected prosecutor, as to whether they're going to proceed with criminal charges. But when you kind of look at some of the checklists that I'd be looking at, such as is Alec Baldwin a dangerous person? Well, probably should take a gun safety training class, but he's probably not going to do this again. Does he need rehabilitation? Do we need to deter crimes like this? And we kind of go through those factors, and you say, well, on balance, you know, is it really worth prosecuting a case like this, given that obviously the family's satisfied with the financial aspect of the settlement?
Yeah, we do have a statement in from Halyna Hutchins' husband and widow, Matthew Hutchins, saying, "I have no interest in engaging in recriminations or attribution of blame. All of us believe Halyna's death was a terrible accident. I'm grateful that the producers and the entertainment community have come together to pay tribute to Halyna's final work." So they're kind of indicating his pleasure that the film will go on with shooting in January. So, Michael, New Mexico's Office of the Medical Investigator determined that the shooting was an accident. Baldwin, like I was saying, had said that his finger did not pull the trigger of the gun, though that FBI forensic report found the weapon could not have been fired unless the trigger was pulled. What does this say, do you think, about overall workplace safety conditions on movie sets, on film sets? We know that the industry itself has committed itself to, bettering some of these workplace practices. But this was really a horrible, horrible moment, but a teaching moment nonetheless.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, what the takeaway for the viewers should be is this is really a case about lack of gun safety, right? So in Florida, we issue concealed carry permits, and we have a law that you have to take a course, and there's a in-person handling the gun, shooting the gun portion of that, and then there is a component of that that's a written test about gun safety. There's really three principles that you're supposed to use. Treat the gun as if it's loaded, point it in a safe direction. Don't point it at something you don't wish to shoot. Whether he pulled the trigger or the gun malfunctioned, the fact is that somebody either was using a real gun as a prop, or somebody brought their personal weapon to a movie set where they were using guns as props. Either way, there was some negligence and some recklessness there. And subsequent to that, the producer changed their practices, right? So now they're using airsoft guns and things of that nature. Usually the rules of evidence don't allow you to introduce the fact that somebody changed their practice because you want to incentivize people to improve safety. But I would say that it shows it was feasible to use the airsoft gun all along. And so this is really, as you said, I think a learning moment for the industry and frankly for all Americans. It's not just movie actors that have done accidental shootings. It was an accidental shooting of a young boy in my community because his friends were messing around with a loaded gun and they thought it wasn't loaded. And so this is a learning experience for everybody to avoid criminal and civil liability, as we see here.
Yeah. I was just looking, this happened October 21st of last year, almost a year to the day that this happened. Can't believe it's already been a year. Michael Beltran, thank you so much for breaking that down from a legal standpoint, and we'll talk again.
Thanks for having me.